Hey, so in this video, I'll be talking about mental health in Nepal. So we don't usually talk about mental health in Nepal. It's kind of like a taboo, and if you talk about mental health or if you want some help, people will just say Patan hospital ja or something like that. You're the Patan hospital janu parne, all those stereotypical things. So yeah, we're gonna, break away the stereotypes and everything. And today we'll be talking about mental health and my experience with psychologists and psychiatrists. So let's talk about psychiatrists and psychologists. So psychologists are more of like therapists. They talk to you and they don't prescribe you medications. But the psychiatrist just like diagnoses you and can prescribe you medications for your problems. So I was diagnosed with severe depression in ninth grade by a psychiatrist. So let me give you a little background about how mental health used to be back when I was in 7th and 8th grade and how I finally reached out to get help in ninth grade. So in 7th grade, okay, I was a teenager, raising hormones and everything was changing in life and there were some problems that I won't go into details with. So yeah, from then onwards in 8th grade. So at the time I was mostly on the internet and even in the real life there was kind of a stereotyping people with mental health, and they were mostly like think that teenagers would just talk about depression or something like that just to get attention and label them as attention seeker. Now, I didn't want to be seen as attention seeker. I was like scared of being labeled attention seeker. So I just kept quiet and kept things inside of myself. And I was suffering alone at that time. I didn't talk about my problems with my friends or my families. And even if I wanted to, I just kept quiet because people used to say, oh, don't talk about it, or so no one, or like, even if you cried in your home, people or your parents would be like, shut up, why are you crying? Or really sunyo भने के भन्ला? And stuff like that. So I just had to suppress my emotions inside of me, and showing emotions wouldn't be a good sign for other people. So eventually those stuff like kind of mounted up on each other, and there is a breaking point after a lot of things has been kept inside of a person, suppressed feelings. And then I'm not gonna lie, but I tried self-harm. And yeah, it didn't go well because I survived. Oh my god. So even after I tried self-harm a couple of times, my parents didn't talk about it for some reasons. I don't know what they are. And then in ninth grade, I just had this thought in my mind, like, I need to get some help, like trying to, do self-harm upon myself isn't a healthy thing to do. And I eventually thought about getting help. So I just looked up into the internet and searched about psychiatry, psychologists, how to get help, and about the sessions. I just researched all about it. And then I told my mom, like, okay, mom, I haven't searched up about psychologists, psychiatrists, and I want to get help from them. And then my mom told that to my dad, and my dad is like close-minded person, so he wasn't like very open to like me going to a psychiatrist or psychologist to get help. And he was like, "Tapao lora, like to get help from a psychologist or psychiatrist, because at that time he thought people who get help from psychologists or psychiatrists are those people who cannot perform daily activities. Like just thought that those people, drunkards, or people who have lost their lives to mental illnesses. I don't know how to put it, but this is had this thought of like those people in Parton Hospital are the ones who were mentally ill and wanted, who were supposed to get help from psychologists and psychiatrists. So it took some time for my mom to convince my dad, but eventually I went to see a psychiatrist in a hospital. So that wasn't a hospital I chose, but it was my dad just recommended me to go over there and get help. So me and my family went there. It was Saturday, so there wasn't any psychiatrist or psychologist at that time. So there was this doctor. So my dad told my problem to this doctor, and this doctor was like, just come into my office, let's talk about it. So I went into this office. I don't think he was from psychology background, but he just talked to me, some kind of surface level talking, and I didn't tell him anything about my stuff that I was going through. And he just told me like, oh, you're just a kid and stuff like that. Like it felt like a relative was trying to talk to me after I had tried self-harm or stuff like that. Basic relatives trying to talk to you. It wasn't really good. I was like at my breakdown at that time. Like my eyes were like all watery at the time. But I didn't cry because I didn't want to let him see my weak side. So I just kept it inside and just listened to his bullshit until he stopped. Okay, so that was the day I went to that hospital. So then then the doctor said that he would reschedule me with a psychiatrist in that hospital after she comes to the hospital. So I went to the hospital after a week, I guess. Maybe a week. I think so, a week. So I went to the hospital again, and this time I was shown to the psychiatrist room. And the funny thing is, the psychiatrist room was like so freaking small. It was like partition. It was like partition down there. It was so small. I just went there, and there was this female psychiatrist. We were just talking. Then she was like, "Is it okay for my students to come over here to see how she's gonna talk to me and diagnose me and stuff like that?" And me being a child at that time, like didn't know how to say no to people. So I was just like, okay, I didn't think too much about it. But then 3, 4 of our students came into that room in that small, tiny partition office. And I was like, okay, they're over there. And I was over there. I was like, yeah. She was asking me questions like, okay, so tell me about you. Like, how has it been going? Like, do you do self-harm to yourself? What have you thought about killing yourself? How often do you get these feelings and stuff like that? And I was like, there is this woman I've never seen in my life. Like she's this new person, and there are like extra 3, 4 people of her students there. And I was like, yeah, I do self-harm. And it got quiet. So yeah, I do self-harm. And I have tried to kill myself. And she's just like listening to the surface level thing, and she doesn't want to know, like, go into deeper, like what caused them and stuff like those. And I'm just there listening to her say that, go and make a routine and then follow up that routine and stuff like that. And she diagnosed me with severe depression. Okay, get that, severe depression. that's a heavy load of, that's a heavy word. And she's just like, okay, you got severe depression, and you know how we're gonna cure it? We're gonna give you medication, antidepressants, and you know what? Write a diary, make a routine for your study table and stuff. Seriously, she recommended me to do that after diagnosing me with severe depression. She didn't even recommend me to go to a psychologist and get some therapy sessions. And then then after the session, I just went outside of the office, and then my parents went in. Before my parents went in, like she had asked me, "Is it okay if your parents come and can I talk to them?" Like again, I was a kid. I didn't know how to say no, and I was like, "Okay, so can I talk to you about your problems with your parents?" And I was like, "Okay." And then my parents just went in. They talked for a while. And then they came out, and then I went inside the office together with my parents, and the doctor talked to us for some moments. I don't really clearly remember what we talked about, but I remember my father saying that it isn't probably the good decision for her to take antidepressants and get medicated at such a young age. So the doctor didn't prescribe me any medications, but she did tell me to come back again and, you know, follow up sessions so that she could know that I'm following my routine. After that, I went for a follow up session, and again, she asked me about my routine. If I had made some, I did show her my routine, and she asked me if I was following it. I said, like, no, it's, you know, it takes a lot of courage to do stuff when you're depressed. And then she told me, it's all right if you take your time. You can take your time and, you know, keep on doing whatever you have wrote in your schedule. So I said, okay. But after that, when I went home, you know, I was just like done with everything, done with going to the psychiatrist, because I had lost my hope of getting help, because I had this feeling in my heart when I wanted to get help that I'm gonna talk to someone about my problems, and there's gonna be someone to hear me out, and you know, eventually get to the root of the problem, and we're gonna discuss about it. But no, that did not happen. And I don't know if she still, you know, medicate her patients by just listening to the surface level things still right now, without even recommending her patients to go to therapists. And after that, in 10th grade, yeah, let me tell you something funny. So I stayed in hostel in 10th grade, and I was new to the hostel rules. And one time we were sitting in line to go to eat breakfast, and our in charge was in line checking some things. I just thought she was checking nails, so I looked at my nails. They were okay, but I just showed her to my nails, okay? And she was like, just turn your hands like this, and I just turned myself like this, and I was wondering. Anyways, I went inside, and then I asked my friends, like, why did she ask to show our wrist? And and they're like, so she knows that we are not cutting our hands. So yeah, so people in hostel cut their wrist, and my in charge like just checked our wrist from time and again so that we would not cut our hands.
リスカもおしゃれに行きましょう。イエーイイエーイイエーイイエーイかわいいイエーイデザインがかわいい切ってもあんまり痛くない気が美味しくなる新礼いやいやリストカッターゲーゲー新発売かわいいデザイン
So, anyways, nice initiation done by my in charge. And then, yeah, and then there is, and then let me also talk about those counselors in schools. Our schools, our students had privilege of counseling in school. But the people who would go into counseling were most of the people who had an attitude problem with teachers or someone who didn't do well in academics. So for our school, they thought that people who need counseling are those people who had attitude with teachers or either they are not doing good in school. And then I heard this story from one of my friends, like in their school, they too had a counselor, but that counselor used to tell what the student said to the principal. Yeah. After my encounter with the psychiatrist, I just lost faith in getting help. I had completely lost my faith over, getting help because I realized, Irina, the mental health sector of your country sucks. You ain't getting help from anyone. You're alone in this world. You gotta help yourself. But then again, in during winter season, like I used to get seasonal depression because I used to think about the times when I was really depressed and about the episodes that manifested over the time in winter because I was mostly too depressed during winter seasons. I don't know what's the reason behind it. I did search about it and it says lack of sunshine or some shit like that. Anyways, that those things did happen, seasonal depression. 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, I didn't bother getting help. I was too busy with, you know, SEE, then 11 go boards, 12 go boards, and didn't have time to process about my thoughts and anything like that. After my boards of 12th grade, I chose to have a gap year. In that gap year, I, let all my thoughts take over my mind, let those emotions, I used to think about it all, going through each and everything on a gap year. And in that gap year, on the winter, I decided to get help again because my seasonal depression was knocking on the door. So I talked to a friend, and he was also trying to find a therapist to talk about his problem. He was suffering from anxiety and also depression. So we talked and we thought about going to look out for some good therapists out there. Friendship goals. So we went to a hospital and, talked about how much the sessions were going to be like or how frequent we're going to visit the doctor. So turns out it was very expensive and the doctor didn't visit the hospital frequently, so not a good. So I just went on with my stuff for a week or so. So my friend again contacted me and told me he found a good therapist and that he was gonna take a session from that therapist. So he did. So he did get in touch with me after going to the session. So we talked about it and he told me about, how his experiences and I was like, okay, I also got to take therapy sessions from this person. And I contacted my therapist. So before me and my therapist scheduled a session, she gave me an email. She gave me an email with information about her practice and how the session is gonna look like and the prices. and the prices and everything about all those legal stuffs and that confidentiality stuff. So that was really good. So I just looked over, I went through everything that she had sent me and told her, okay, I was good with it and that we could set an appointment. And we did set a so we set an appointment. So I went there. I was really nervous at my first session. I didn't know what to talk about or what to tell her or how it was gonna end up like. So I went to the place where she would give therapy sessions. So it was in a quiet room and there was two seats and the table over there. It was really quiet, like just how I had imagined my therapy sessions or how I was gonna get help at ninth grade. And I was really happy about it that finally something I had in mind was actually happening in real life. So we had the first therapy session, and even if I tell you what happened in my therapy sessions, it's not gonna happen. Those same things aren't gonna apply to you because I had talked to my friend about how his session went and I compared it with mine and it was totally different. It totally depends on about what you're dealing with or and what you're dealing with, and the therapist decides what kind of approach he or she should take in order to overcome your problems. So I went on to 3 sessions with my therapist. And on the first session, something funny happened. So I was opening up finally, and she was also opening up. She told me about how she was also suffering from mental illnesses and how she had overcome them. And that really helped me because we were someone who were, you know, who were battling with depression, and it was good to know about her side of the story too, and that I was not all alone. And while we were talking, I told her like how I usually go outside most of the times because it was to keep my mind busy and go on cafes with my friends and eat out and stuff like that. And I said to her that I do that because I feel like I'm being productive and my mind doesn't wander, and you know how they say empty mind is a devil's workshop. And she was like, that's not productivity. And she told me the meaning of productivity, and I was just like, yeah, that happened. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the prices and the stuff. So my therapy sessions lasted for about almost 3 hours, and each sessions cost 800. No matter how short or long the therapy sessions were gonna be, the sessions would always cost 800. And that's a really good price comparing to the prices with other therapists that I've heard of. And then, yeah, so the therapy sessions went on, and we talked about my problems and stuff. And we would exchange our emails, to talk about our problems when we didn't have session for a long period of time, and that really helped me. So after the second session, I felt like I could do better, and I found out that I just had mild depression and that I could overcome it easily. So, and she also told me that I should treat myself as I treat my friends. And that really helped me to, you know, see a different perspective of my life and help myself. and treat myself better. And yeah, that's it. So I went for 3 sessions and it really helped me. Like after going to therapy, I learned how to process my thoughts and the benefits of journaling and being mindful and about spiritual stuffs and other stuffs too. Right now I can't remember a lot of stuff because my memory power isn't that really good. Yeah, so I wonder if I'm forgetting something. So anyways, like if you're someone who's feel like they need a push or a sign that they should go to therapy because you're struggling with something, this is your sign. Like go and get therapy sessions. There is a list of psychologists who are giving free sessions right now in this pandemic for free of cost. Yep, you heard me right. So take advantage of it and go there. Take therapy sessions if you're feeling like you need any help because it's hard in this pandemic. We've been inside in our house for almost 3 months. After the therapy sessions, like after being in this pandemic, I did experiences a lot of ups and downs in my moods, and I got into contact with my therapist, and we exchanged emails about how I was feeling and what kind of thoughts were bothering me. So we talked about it, and that was really great, and it helped me. When I was younger, I used to go through the internet a lot, like to get out. I used to go through internet a lot when I was a kid, so to know about, how I was gonna get help and what were my options and stuff like that. So if I had if I had seen a video like this, like I would probably be so thankful and would be, better at finding a good therapist for myself or even meeting a good psychiatrist compared to what I had experienced. Uh, So I hope this video helps you. And even if you're not in the pandemic and considering about getting help, you should totally go for it. Like, don't worry about the prices. Just think of your mental illness and problems the same as like physical problems. Don't put it aside. Like, don't let your, you know, just don't put off your problems away. Think about it, process it, and if you need help, like, go there and get help. And don't think about the price. Just treat it as you would with your physical problems. If you don't, then your problems are just gonna, gather around and be more bigger and bigger until you have a breakdown and you go insane. And so that was my experience. I don't know if I think I forgot about some stuff that I thought I would be talking in this video. So sorry about that. And just know that I'm just a teenager who is just sharing her experience with psychologists and psychiatrists and talking about mental health and how it's gonna be like if you're looking for help. And mind you, sometimes you might not connect with your therapist, but don't be sad about it. Like go out there, find a suitable therapist that's gonna click with you so you can get the help you've been always wanted to get. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching this video. I'm so happy that you're till the end of this video. I hope this video helped you a lot. And let me know what kind of content you want to see or share your experience with psychologists and psychiatrists down below. And like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. I want to be monetized. Please like, subscribe, view the whole video. Share this video, okay? Bye bye.